Greetings and welcome everyone. Anthony Marsh on Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film with a new episode of the Terra Adventure podcast presented by my Morphin Megaverse Power Rangers Facebook group. With all of this discussion about the upcoming 30th anniversary of Power Rangers and some stuff from Dino Fury that I haven't really caught up, I do want to talk about bringing back old villains and like how that should impact what Hasbro has been doing with the main line of shows for Power Rangers since Beast Morphers. When you think back to Beast Morphers, I was looking forward to them doing the Dino Ranger team up, how they were going to resurrect Goldar. Yeah, it may not have the original design, but going by what was in the footage of the Kyrioja vs. Go Buster movie that they already adapted for Beast Morphers' team up episodes of the Dino Rangers, Finders Keepers, and Grid Connection. You know, I mind Goldar having a major upgrade to his original look in the form of Goldar Maximus, as we've known as, which we used to dub as Neo Goldar if he ever made a comeback. Although Dino Charge, when we had that, they were not going to bring him back right away, and even has what we already had with Snide, as coined Neo Zeltrax before Snide was even become a thing for Dino Charge. But then you cut the Power Rangers Dino Fury as of recently, and how they brought back Lord Zed, and I do want to talk a little bit about him before I do a video about Zed's return in Dino Fury in itself later on. Once I do catch up on Power Rangers with Dino Fury, and despite the fact like I said, I haven't been keeping up with Dino Fury, I can care less about it, but I've heard about the change of his voice actor, because we got to remember Robert Axelrod, who played Lord Zed, for those who didn't know. Robert Axelrod, who was the voice of Lord Zed, Finster, and various monster voices in Power Rangers, had passed away around this time 3 years ago in September 2019. So therefore, I mean, I understand there's many of those who are purists of, you know, and gatekeepers of seeing certain key actors and voice actors that have been a part of Power Rangers to remain as those actors until those actors pass away, and I don't know what they'll do else with those characters if those characters would make on-again, off-again reappearances for later seasons after their main seasons have ended. You know, speaking of returning villains, what a shock that Power Morphicon 2022 is behind us now. I know I didn't go, and I know I didn't get to see certain actors from my generation of Power Rangers and stuff. Well, next time when Power Morphicon 10 happens in 2024, I will show up for that year's Morphicon, and I hope one day, like I said back in that vlog, discussing my fan film content and whatnot. You know, of all the actors that have returned to show up finally in costume for, you know, photo ops and stuff and meeting new fans and some returning fans. Now, Amy Miller, who played Trakeena in Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, after 23 years since we last seen her in costume and makeup and with that black gothic lipstick on with that bug aesthetic of hers, has finally, and I mean finally, has showed up to this year's Power Morphicon in her original character costume. Although not exactly, even though it's not as accurate as I remember, but it's close enough. I mean, but although the person who actually made the costume, Lady J Cosplay, I like to shout out to her for making that costume for her. If you don't know who she is, Lady J Cosplay, she does cosplay of Power Rangers. Follow her on Instagram and wherever else she's on. But of all of her most popular cosplay, and thus far as of this recording and right now, is her Trakeena cosplay. You should check her cosplay of the character out. It's basically been widespreading everywhere. Check her out but damn it, after my 12 years of being in the fandom since 2010, I've been wanting someone to do a costume for Amy Miller to play in, to do her, reprise her iconic role in that cosplay for the convention. And I hope she does wear that for Halloween this year, because they make a lot of us Power Ranger fans happy. And despite the fact, you know, again, so many years I've heard about Amy Miller attending Power Morphicon since 2010, and 12 years later, Power Morphicon 2022, this past month in August, as of this recording again. I have always wanted to see Amy Miller in costume as her character for so many years, and it finally came to pass 12 years. Now, I did not go to this year's Power Morphicon and meet her in person, but if she does get an invite, if she appears in costume again, I hope, damn it, one day I see her in costume in person. Because I've been wanting to do that for 12 years since I was in my last year of high school, when I was in the 12th grade at age 18, and it was definitely worth the wait. Now, then again, two other key villainous vixens from my generation of Power Rangers, while they were invited initially to come to this year's Power Morphicon, but sadly, two of them did not make it. Hillary Shepard, Divatox, she declined to appear at this year's Morphicon, but is understandable. And of course, Melody Perkins, Astronema, and Corone, she declined coming to this year's Morphicon due to, of course, many factors with her. So it was only Amy Miller who decided to have the villainous guts to return and finally show up in costume. And I knew then and there, she did said that if she ever returned to Morphicon, that she would appear in costume, even though it may not be as the authentically show-accurate suit, but is at least as close to what she always looked like 23 years ago. And I did do a video about Astronema cosplay back in 2016, but I think I had deleted that video because, like, you know, back when I was going through that copyright content ID massacre from Saban back 4 years ago. Now here's the thing. Now, while that's out of the way about the cosplay, but I do want to talk about, like, in terms of, you know, this reverence of Trakeena returning and all of that, but I don't think, you know, yeah, in the comics, recently in Boom Studios' Power Ranger comics in Mighty Morphin issues 21 and 22, Trakeena alongside Daishi, Sledge, and Rancic, and also I was going to say Void Queen Sentai name of Madame Noir from Tokyuger. They all appeared in that issue where they battled Tommy and Kimberly in the the metallic armor in that issue, spoiler alert. And Trakeena battled all the different Pink Rangers, including the Pink Rangers from her season, Kendricks and Corona's Galaxy Pink, in that issue. And yeah, so if you haven't read issues 21 and 22 of Boom Studios' Mighty Morphin story, check it out, and I highly recommend it, because I was wondering when they were going to have some reverence of Trakeena in today's Power Rangers media. We got her in that Legacy War game, we got her in the comics, we got Amy Miller back as her iconic villainous role, even at age 53 now, but she can still pull it off. But even though I've been doing fan films of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy for 12 years, where I've basically been doing nothing but trying to resurrect Trakeena, my way of doing it, but although my fan film stuff, as you know, is not canon to the mainline Power Ranger thing. And then we had, of course, a certain Trakeena cosplayer who has been making a big name for herself lately, since that one convention, and then showed herself in the cosplay at this year's Power Morphicon. Although we've had some cosplayers of Trakeena in the past, but most of them just phased out. So luckily we actually got that cosplayer actually show, you know, because damn it, it's time I actually got to see someone do more Trakeena cosplay, because hardly anybody in the Power Rangers fan base, female wise, that ever did her character, because it's like, is there anything about Trakeena that turns me on to make me do a cosplay of her? But, you know, that's the thing. Because a lot of people, especially for people who are not Power Ranger fans, like a certain... Again, that's in the past. But, that I knew 12 years ago. Don't realize how much I liked Trakeena, and realize how much she meant to me as a Power Rangers fan. And realizing she was one of the best parts of Lost Galaxy, and one of the best parts of, you know, and one of the best villains of Power Rangers, no doubt. And if not one of the only best female villains in my mind. Well, yeah, Astronema was great, And while Divatox is either here or there, mostly Hillary Shepard's Divatox. I don't care for Carol Hoyt's version from the first chunk of Turbo. But the thing was, I've always had an admiration for Trakeena the most because, well, I'm maybe 30 years old. I'm not 18 anymore where I was that overzealous, frantic, wild, crazy fanboy, especially of her, like even when I was in my 20s. But at 30 years old now, I need to chill the heck out and realizing that she's just a fictional character, even though the person who brought her to life 23 years ago is real, but the character is not. But at least it makes sense that I'm happy that she actually appeared in cosplay and stuff like that, but I just need to chill out. But the thing is, you know, I do need to realize that she's just a fictional character. So, but the thing is, though, what I wanted to say before the recording and what I wanted to jot down some thoughts about the character in general. And I did a video about Trakeena earlier this year and even last year, discussing about how she was an overlooked villain, but yeah, she had one of the, if not one of the strongest villain arcs in all of Lost Galaxy, if not of Power Rangers thus far, female villain wise. Despite the fact I've been a big Trakeena fanboy, although the one thing that would complete my fanboyism if I met the person who brought her to life, and then my life of being a Lost Galaxy fan and a Trakeena fan would be complete, and then I can finally move on to other things. But you know, thinking back to so many years I've been wanting Trakeena to come back, and talking about this since this is a fandom discussion, not like something with the main show itself or other media Power Rangers. But I've always wanted to see Trakeena back in some capacity, even if her season is long over. But and I've been trying to bring her back, even though I don't own the character. So knowing, despite the amount of fan entitlement and stuff I had in the 12 years as a fan since 2010, when I was 18 years old in high school and was getting out of high school, and look where I am all those years later, as of age 30. I look back on all the years I've been trying to bring her back, and especially when I was doing fan films of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy since 2010, when I was still in Gaithersburg High School. And you probably know about the story about Rise of Trakeena. There's a whole bunch of videos of me talking about it. But even talking about it here, when talking about the actress who brought her to life, and how I want to see, you know, it was, you know, very tricky to, you know, as a fan, when doing those fan films, I tried imagining other actresses and, you know, Hollywood actresses, if Power Rangers Lost Galaxy ever had a reboot movie, whether it be a standalone thing in the vein of the Dark Knight trilogy, or all of those cinematic universe driven Marvel and DC movies we have today, like Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, Batman v Superman, Zack Snyder's Justice League, etc. That if we, or even the Arrowverse on the CW, that if we ever had a Power Rangers shared universe of movies, or a rebooted continuity of TV shows and movies interconnected like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, nowadays, you know, I've been trying, even before all of that, even back in the Stone Age of me being a Power Ranger fan that I was since 2010, was in a Lost Galaxy fan, trying to figure out, if I was to do a movie reboot of Lost Galaxy, what Hollywood actress, before she turned old and crap, because you know how Hollywood is so against women over 40 and stuff, and I talked about ageism in a podcast, check that out, where like they want an actress in their 20s and 30s, because again, now when Amy Miller played Trakeena in Lost Galaxy, she was in her late 20s, pushing 30 when she played this role. I'm her age now. Now, if I was an actor playing, you know, as a villain in a future Power Ranger season, I would fit that role and mold to playing a villain. Because at this rate, I'm kind of too old at this point, considerably too old to be a Power Ranger. Because given the way how I've been in real life, I've been acting more like a villain than I have a hero. I mean, I was being a hero, but more like a hero corrupted to be evil villain sort of thing, a lot like Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader in Star Wars, or Jason Todd, Robin, the Red Hood, Arkham Knight in Batman sort of thing. And thinking back to when I was doing my Rise of Trakeena fan film project, despite all the behind-the-scenes tumult with that, my fanfic film of Trakeena, Rise of Trakeena, would have Trakeena brainwash a ranger that was basically based on me, of course, and I would have Trakeena brainwash my OC Yellow Ranger based on me, of course, and I would betray the Power Rangers to work for her, which was a wish fulfillment thing. Well, the reason for that, behind the scenes wise, was because the person, again, I originally wanted for Trakeena, when I did the fan film with those paper puppets 12 years ago, quit the film and all that other hullabaloo, blah, blah, blah. But when things wasn't working out behind the scenes, I thought, okay, you know what, last minute, what if Trakeena took my OC Yellow Ranger character, who was wearing a Lost Galaxy Ranger costume in the fanfic film, would brainwash me to betray the Rangers to work for her, and I would be some evil Ranger of sorts, a la like Darth Vader, and she would be like a female version of Emperor Palpatine, or you know, something like that. Given that Lost Galaxy did have some shades of Star Wars, while the Terra Venture crew is all like Star Trek in a way with the Enterprise, and you know, so Terra Venture acted like the Starship Enterprise in a way. But what was very Star Warsy about it was, you know, the lightsabers, you know, quasar sabers lighting up like lightsabers on occasion and stuff, and then Trakeena's arc, you know, how she was, you know, Darth Vader kind of ish, if you will. We do have a female Sith Lord out of Ventress or whatever her name was in the Clone Wars animated series, but again, I haven't watched Star Wars The Clone Wars, so I can't say otherwise. But I really was thinking about that as my time of doing those fan films of my Marshverse of Power Rangers progressed, and especially in the form of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, The Wrath of Trakeena. Instead of an evil Power Ranger, I just, of course, if you go back and watch Wrath of Trakeena, for better or worse, I used a recycled costume design of a Kamen Rider from Kamen Rider Dragon Knight for Trakeena's evil apprentice to attack the Power Rangers in that fan film. Although the Trakeena in that fan film, a la Paper Dolls, did not have Amy Miller's likeness, instead an actress that I now personally despise, in my opinion, despite I don't like a certain TV show that I'm not really interested into. But I was watching a TV show I was watching because I was going through the darkest and edgiest of my time in my 20s at that point, ever since 7 years ago, due to a personal family tragedy. But despite the fact that, now, speaking of that, it was hard for me in the 12 years I've been doing fan films of Trakeena and Power Rangers in general, trying to imagine somebody else, whether it be an actress like Maggie Siff or Bridget Regan or Abigail Spencer, who currently, spoiler alert for my upcoming fan film of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy for 2023, you know, to be Trakeena. But yeah, those actresses are well into their 40s now. But yeah, they may be in their 40s, but I can imagine those, well, of course, by the time, if they ever do a Power Rangers Lost Galaxy movie reboot, who do you think should play Trakeena? Whether it be a woman of color, a woman of the LGBT, or a woman who is relatively unknown, a woman, an actress who is very popular on some Netflix or HBO Max show right now that should play the role in a Power Rangers cinematic universe, you know, all that possibility. Well, hey, the cosplayer behind Trakeena recently, of Lee J Cosplay, she's a person of color, and, you know, imagine a black woman playing Trakeena. As much as people were a bit fickle about Shriek and Venom Let There Be Carnage, spoiler alert, being a person of color playing that character who's predominantly wearing white makeup and all of that in the comics, and even with Zazie Beetz, who played Domino in Deadpool 2, you know, Domino was what she was in the comics, but the movie decided to make her a person of color, mostly black, African American. Well, when you think about Amy Miller's, yeah, I have to. Now, please be advised, for anyone who refers to Amy Miller's married name, she's not with Reggie, you know, the Green Galaxy Ranger, Damon, anymore in real life. Can we please stop referring to Amy Miller as Amy Rolle? She's not married to Reggie anymore. So can we stop referring to her as Amy Miller-Rolle or Amy Rolle? It's just Amy Miller now. She's back to that now. So can we just stop calling her by Rolle, please? So basically, you know, I had been envisioning Trakeena to be a woman over the age of 40, because despite the fact one of my original concepts of Rise of Trakeena and my subsequent fan films that followed it, I wanted a Trakeena that would be played by an actress that was over the age of 40. Given the fact Amy Miller right now is in her 50s, I think, yeah, because a lot of the actors from the Saban era Power Rangers are well into their 50s now. Given the fact that birth years, if they were born between 1970 to 1979, they're in their late 40s and early 50s now. Well, with the exception of David Yost and some other actors from the original Saban era Power Rangers in their 50s and 60s now. But the thing is, it was so hard for me for years to imagine somebody else playing that role. But I don't mean like in the main show, but like in a Power Rangers movie or cinematic universe sort of thing, a la MCU, DCEU, Snyderverse or whatever, Arrowverse. And I've been trying to find certain key actresses in Hollywood. In the 12 years I've been trying to fan cast actresses that I thought would look like an ideal Trakeena for me, while many people chose either Mila Jovovich or the actress who played the Red Riding Hood, Ruby from Once Upon a Time, or any other actress to be Trakeena for a Power Rangers Lost Galaxy movie reboot in a Power Rangers cinematic universe. But I've been going through a bunch of different actresses that I've always wanted to imagine as Trakeena, but those actresses that I liked, like Courtney Cox or Abigail Spencer or Bridget Regan, all those, well, especially Abigail and Bridget being relatively unknown actresses, but they've been doing some late work lately. Or even, heck, Elizabeth Bitsy Tulik, Lois Lane of Superman and Lois right now is Trakeena, and I was like, yeah, they're too old now. They're in their 40s, and you know, maybe they'll go for someone much younger for Trakeena in the Power Rangers cinematic universe from Hasbro or something. Someone who's relatively big right now, not some washed up has-been actress, veteran actress right now that I've mentioned, like Bitsy Tulik or Abigail Spencer or Bridget Regan, or even Maggie Sif, sorry. But the thing is, as Power Ranger fans, we usually see the actors who played these characters from the TV series and who are the faces of the franchise. Kind of like, those who are faces of WWE, like Roman Reigns right now. And even like, again, how it is. But it's a no-brainer that obviously Amy Miller will and always will be Trakeena in the main universe of Power Rangers. Much like a lot of the actors that have been in the franchise since 30 years ago. Jason David Frank, he may have moved on for Power Rangers, but he'll always be Tommy to us, the Green Ranger, White Ranger, Red Zeo, and all of that. Amy Jo Johnson will always be Kimberly, the Pink Ranger, even though she's moved on to much bigger stuff, even like directing stuff for TV and film. David Yost will always be Billy, the Blue Ranger, and all that. And David Fielding will always be Zordon, even though we already lost Bob Monahan, who was his voice for most of his later appearances in Power Rangers until the end of Power Rangers in Space. And even for the Galaxy cast, as much as I've secretly been recasting the Galaxy Rangers for my upcoming fan film project, even though for those who bitched out on me on Instagram last year about casting actors like Laura Vandervoort and Liam Hemsworth as the Galaxy Rangers, despite they're well into their 30s and 40s and stuff now. But like, for those who bitched out on me for that last year in December. But I've been trying to imagine other actors, but the actors I choose, are like too old now, but I can still see them. But even though people will tell me, no, you gotta go for much younger actors in their 20s now, because those actors you got, they could have been that when it was 2014, but it's past 2014. But I was thinking about the actors I had at the time. I didn't think about, but I'll discuss about that later in a different video. But about Trakeena though, the thing is, I've been trying to imagine some other actresses for Trakeena if they brought her for a Power Rangers movie for a cinematic universe or something, or a standalone one-off thing, kind of like in that Power/Ranger short film, or dare I say the 2017 movie. But the thing was, I've been, of course, yeah, the actors that I want for the roles are like old now. I'm old as hell now. Call me an old fart YouTuber still making videos like this still. But I've been trying to imagine somebody else in that role for 12 years, and none of them even cracked it. I've tried several actresses, even actresses that I've seen on 2.5 Men. Like Jennifer Benny Taylor as Trakeena, Chelsea from 2.5 Men. And Jenny McCarthy, even though I don't like Jenny McCarthy, but I tried at one point. And then even some former pro wrestlers from WWE and TNA, like Shelly Martinez at one point. If you remember that one Red Galaxy Ranger intern video I did back in 2013, and I said something about Shelly Martinez, former wrestler turned YouTuber, as Trakeena. I was like, there's no way I can imagine Shelly Martinez in that role, given the fact Shelly Martinez won Who's the Next Elvira contest back in 2008, 2009. So, I really have been trying to imagine other actresses and other people to be Trakeena. But again, there will never be there will never be anybody to play Trakeena unless if it's Amy Miller. But the thing is, I've said this before, long before I even recorded this video, weeks before this in advance, that if, I was going to lose my thought here for a moment, but knowing the fact that while the actors who have played the characters we've had from Power Rangers, especially from my generation, the 90s, early 2000s, original Saban era, Mighty Morphin through Wild Force generation of Power Rangers, the first 10 years, those guys are in their 50s, late 40s and 50s in them now. So when the day comes when these guys pass away one day, and it will suck when these guys pass away and pass on, a lot of Power Ranger fans are going to have a hard time imagining new actors that will, even once when I'm gone and when all of us pass away one day, who will play those characters in, future Power Ranger movies and reboots and stuff like that, video games and animation and all of that. Even though Amy Miller did set the groundwork for Trakeena, but I think only she and she alone can play that character. Even though she may be too old to play this character again. But there should be now, speaking of that, when I get to my next tangent in a moment, but I'm just saying, if they brought her back, brought her back even at 53 years old, I mean, they'll be like, she's too old to play this. I mean, where was she all these years after Lost Galaxy? Why didn't she return for Trakeena's Revenge? Now, look. Now, for those who didn't know, I've finally made peace with that Lightspeed Rescue team-up of Trakeena's Revenge. Despite that, I may have not liked the team-up for 22 years, despite how much of a zealous, bitter, overly entitled fanboy of Lost Galaxy that I've been, despite the, I didn't have a great childhood with Power Rangers, especially during the post-Zordon era. But you know what? I have to make peace with my past and realize that I may have not got a lot of the Lost Galaxy toys I wanted when that season was going on. I may have not gotten to be a Lost Galaxy Power Ranger for Halloween. I may have not, all that. And then when we had the Lightspeed Rescue team up with the Galaxy Rangers and when Trakeena returned, I may have not liked Trakeena's Revenge for so many bitterful years and resentful years. But it's time I made up and just get a grip and get over it and grow up and realize that if Amy decided not to return because of certain factors, that was the reason why she didn't want to return. So I have to make peace with that. It's just, again, I was pissed for years and angry. And hence why I was motivated doing the fan film stuff and whatever of Lost Galaxy that I've been doing for the 12 years I've been in the fandom. But even through Ranger Wiki and then all the other places I've been posting stuff about my content for years and my shenanigans. as a Power Rangers fan, but I don't do that no more. But I really need to make peace with my past, and despite the fact I was mentally not well as a Power Rangers fan and as a Lost Galaxy fan, and a fan of Trakeena, despite the fact she's not a real person, but she's a fictional character. She's just a fictional character. Only the actress who brought her to life is real, but the character is not. I don't want to sound like Chris Chan talking about dimensional merges and all that. Say like fictional Power Ranger characters like her should come to life in real life and all that crap, and merging dimensions. Like, no, I'm not going there. No. But okay. Now, speaking of the upcoming 30th anniversary of Power Rangers, if given the fact they brought back Lord Zed in Dino Fury, despite that Robert Axelrod had passed away in 2019, he was too old and too frail and too sick to reprise that role if he was ever contacted by Hasbro. But by the time Hasbro bought Power Rangers, Robert was on his way out. Bob Axelrod was on his way out anyway. And I don't hardly ever see that ever happening. Even if they ever brought back Rita, again, Carla Perez is still available. But Barbara Goodson, she's got to be like a retired voice actress too. But just if they brought Rita back, since Rita Repulsa was the very first big bad and first female big bad of Power Rangers, Carla Perez was available for that Power/Rangers short film. So what's wrong not bringing back Carla Perez's Rita? If they ever thought of a story reason to bring Rita back, okay, maybe they'll bring her back in a future fan film or something, from like Canada Force or whoever from any of the other fan filmmakers of Power Rangers in the fandom right now. But hell, for the years I've been doing fan films of Lost Galaxy, I wish that while I do have what fan cast actress to play Trakeena, via Paper Dolls, I don't know how I feel about bringing back Amy Miller in the fold to play reprise Trakeena in my fan film. But then I have to pay her, I don't know how much money to do my fan film, do the fan film with me. And I mean, since she was an actress and she's still in touch with Power Rangers and the character she made famous. So basically, I'm a chump. I'm a bum. So I don't have the money to pay these actors to be in my fan films of Power Rangers. And, it would have been nice if I did had Amy Miller, just make a cameo as her Trakeena. And then, given the fact that I was thinking about doing a Power Rangers multiverse, Lost Galaxy multiverse movie one day in the future. If I have the money via Patreon, my own money, my own pocket, if I contacted the actress to, I don't know, but how that's going to work with my fan film content. Bringing actors that was on Power Rangers to be a part of my fan film thing. To the fact my fan films started as paper doll movies, and then now these action figure customs, and then if I do a blend of all the multiple mediums, live action actors, paper dolls, and the action figure customs with the faces of Hollywood actors that will never be a part of this brand, given the fact Screen Actors Guild union reasons, and the fact that Power Rangers when it started was non-union. So it's really hard to imagine, it's going to be tough getting these people to do my fan film, stuff like that. But realizing who really gives a crap about me, really, I tried for years making a fan film of Lost Galaxy. I thought would make people happy and other Power Ranger fans happy, and but instead I was a failure. So look at me, I'm a failure at 30. So I'll discuss that in that next video, but outside of the podcast. But anyway, if Hasbro contacted Amy Miller to come back to reprise Trakeena in the upcoming 30th anniversary season of Power Rangers. Well, at least there has to be a good story reason for Trakeena to come back. Because I remember back when I saw Spider-Man No Way Home. You know, yeah, Spider-Man No Way Home was great. You know, it was one of, if not now, one of my all-time favorite Spider-Man movies. Now, at least there should be a good reason. There at least should be a good story reason for her to come back. Much like how, like, in Spider-Man No Way Home, there was a good reason for Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's respective versions of Spider-Man to come back to try to build up Tom Holland's Spider-Man in the MCU to be a better Spider-Man. Of all the losses his Spider-Man had gone through within the Marvel Cinematic Universe after losing Tony Stark, losing, spoiler alert for those who haven't seen No Way Home, losing Aunt May, and then, you know, all that other stuff that happened to his Spider-Man. But at least there should be a good reason for Amy Miller's Trakeena and Power Rangers. You know, if there was a good story reason for her to return. Because if they did bring her back in Cosmic Fury, despite I don't like I'm not really interested in Dino Fury, and I know I heard some of my, you know, some people don't like Dino Fury, but I just hope if they bring her back, resurrect her for the 30th anniversary, you know, as a returning villain for like a big 30th anniversary episode of Power Rangers. I hope they don't bog Trakeena, you know, bog her down, dumb her down, and simplify her down. Neo Saban style. I just hope they don't do that, because I was already disappointed that due to the fact 3 of the Lost Galaxy actors, you know, Danny Slavin, Reggie Roll, and Melody Perkins returned as Leo, Damon, and Carone for Legendary Battle and Super Mega Force to represent the Lost Galaxy cast for that anniversary episode, and they made it to New Zealand. Now, it's Amy Miller who had never been to New Zealand and see what that was really like. But her ex-husband, former Green Galaxy Ranger, Reggie did, but she hasn't. So if Hasbro does contact Amy, if they ever bring Trakeena back, only she can play that character. If they recast her, it's going to be another big disrespectful, degrading sin to recast the actress, knowing she's well alive and stuff, and still well. She's not dead. She's, well, basically she's a retired actress. But if they pay her well to come back and reprise Trakeena and have a good reason for her to return for the 30th anniversary, given the fact Power Rangers is going to go back up to space again, they do need to figure a way to bring her back. If they can bring Lord Zed back in some capacity in Dino Fury, if they bring back any more other old villains for the upcoming 30th season, at least have a good reason for those villains to come back, but without being just forced fan service as seen in the Neo Saban era. Because as much as I've bitched and complained and raved and ranted like a crazy mad emotionally immature man-child fanboy over the last decade with the Neo Saban era Power Rangers, I just hope at least they do something right with Trakeena and give her better reverence than what we had back in, again, Lightspeed Rescue. But again, gotta make peace with that. But at least give her some better reverence than what we had at the last we saw her in the main show. If the Boom Studio Comics and Mighty Morphin issues 21 and 22 can do it, then maybe Cosmic Fury should give her better reverence too. Maybe somewhere down the line in Cosmic Fury, if they ever have some memento of any old villains, any old weapons, or like certain particular villainous staffs. If I see a certain staff with Scorpius's spiritual emblem of a spider into that emblem, I know that's Trakeena's staff. It may not be the right color, just like seen for the cosplay prop that she has, as seen in the photo, with her 2 fingers up and all of that. I hope they choose Trakeena as one of the many old returning villains. She may be age 53, as much as for the last 12 years I wanted to imagine age 50-some-year-old Trakeena in a Power Rangers anything, whether it be something canon to the show or not canon to the show, but as long as it's still the same character, even though what I've been doing for Trakeena sucks. Trying to make this Elvira Morticia hybrid of Trakeena for my fan film stuff. Well, again, I was going through stuff at the time with my stuff, so disregard that. But for the main show and what she brought to life and what she did with that character 23 years ago, if she was to be brought back now in today's Power Rangers facing the Dino Fury turned Cosmic Fury Rangers, she would have the pleasure to take down those Rangers, because I hate the Dino Fury Rangers. I don't care for the cast, but no offense to those who like Dino Fury, but if they ever brought Trakeena back, I would love to have the pleasure to see them defeat the Dino Fury Rangers, as much as in the comic, the Mighty Morphin issue 22 comic, how Trakeena and other villains eviscerated Tommy and Kimberly in that comic. I just hope so, because personally, I do want to see how they would bring her back in some form, kind of like how. But I hope they don't give her the method of how they brought back Lord Zed back in Dino Fury, even though despite I haven't seen Dino Fury. And when I discuss that, once I get to the point of my Power Rangers rewatches and for the first time watching Dino Fury, and when I get to the episode where he came back, I have a lot to discuss about that next time. But something tells me they're not going to bring her back, because, well, let's face it, Amy is a retired actress. She's living a great life now. You know, her kids have grew up; they're college age now, and stuff like that. And she's a cosmetic makeup artist and such right now. So, but if they do bring her back and give her a call to come to New Zealand to film the 30th anniversary episode or something of Power Rangers, I mean, I don't know, go for it or something. I don't know. Because something tells me Cosmic Fury will likely be, because given the rumors again with Hasbro and what they're going to do with after Cosmic Fury, and when Hasbro do that reboot universe of Power Rangers, and based on what the Illuminati said and stuff back 2 years ago about the Hasbro Toei stuff, and again, it was a rumor, but I still think it's still in effect, because given with the upcoming movie thing they're doing, shared universe of movies and shows of Power Rangers for Netflix, I think Cosmic Fury is going to be the final season of Power Rangers this time. Dino Fury was almost, but Cosmic Fury, I can see this being the final season of the continuity we've been following since Mighty Morphin Season 1, and the Power Rangers continuity we've been following for 30 years and counting now, and I can hardly see that be in effect. Once we get to whatever the final episode of Cosmic Fury will be, and how they're going to do the 30th anniversary episode. But of course, not every villain and every Ranger is going to come back for the 30th anniversary. Because, and also I think due to what's going on with the Big V right now in New Zealand and all across the world still, I think they'll just bring back a small majority of villains and a small majority of Rangers, if they'll bring back any key Rangers for the 30th anniversary team-up episode of Power Rangers, if Cosmic Fury will have an annual team-up episode. And I know that annual team-ups are becoming less commonplace ever since Once a Ranger, but we've just last had annual team-up with the Ninja Steel Rangers and all the select Rangers they have for Dimensions in Danger. So for the big 30th Power Rangers anniversary team-up episode, if there's any villains, one of the many villains I still want, despite I'm still being still being that same mentally, still mentally at 18, but in a 30-year-old body's fanboy, thinking back to how I was at 18, 12 years ago. I want Trakeena back. I want her so back. I want her back so much. But now at age 30, but that's likely not going to happen. Okay? That's not going to happen. But realizing it's just a pipe dream of how I've been wanting Trakeena to come back in some capacity in Power Rangers. As long as she's paid well, if they pay her the money to come back and give her and also a great story reason for her return in the main show, then so be it. I just hope that they do it right. Despite I'm one of the few people who don't like Dino Fury and the cast in that, so So that's all I have to say about this. Do you think she should should be one of the returning villains for the upcoming 30th anniversary of Power Rangers, or she should just remain dead, you know, while the actress is still alive and well, retired and living a great life and all that? So therefore, I just think that they should find a way to bring her back in some capacity. She may still look old. She may be old, but she still looks glamorously evil like she always had since 23 years ago. You know, for all those ageist men out there saying how she's too old. You know, she should have came back 22 years ago when they did the Lightspeed Rescue Team up. But so what? As long as she's still the character and seasoned, old, and you know. She's aging like fine wine with evil, okay? So hopefully there should be a good reason for her to come back. So that's it, everybody. I feel like I said what I could in the video, and what do you think about this? Until next time when I discuss a similar matter with Lord Zed. So there's that.